Welcome back. Coming up at the end of the month, the BC Cattlemen's Association hosting their annual general meeting in Kamloops. So we have the general manager joining us today, Kevin Boone. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
I have marble mouth today. Have you noticed? You having a better day than me?
Maybe.
Okay. And we have Chef Romeo joining us from Romeos Kitchen and Spirits. It's great to have you back on the show.
Nice to be back.
Yes, and we have this combination here because, of course, Romeo's going to cook up some beef, not unlike some of the things that might be served at the annual general meeting.
Yes. Well, we're probably going to have some kind of concoction to go with the event itself.
Yes.
We're probably going to be using. Well, we are going to be using some local beef that you can get around, BC itself. So, excited about that.
Is a lot of the beef that you guys use local?
Yes, but in the restaurant side, it's a little different because I have a banquet area.
Yeah.
So we used about 60–70% local beef in our restaurant side.
Right. You gotta love hearing that.
We love it. We're just using beef, so.
Yeah.
Well, beef itself is very, very popular since we're from Kamloops, we're a potato town, so.
Absolutely, we are.
It's great.
Yeah. So you're going to be cooking up some gourmet burgers today. Give us a little bit of a lay of the land, and then we'll let you get started here.
Okay. Well, basically, a few months ago we decided we wanted to change the Romeo Burger because we've always called it Romeo Burger, and the problem was the Romeo Burger was never made in the house. So then I really started thinking about how would we really make that Romeo Burger. So what we did is we created our own buns. We baked the buns 2 days prior when we need it. We completely bake it in the house. It has bacon fat in it. It's brioche based, so a lot of eggs, a lot of butter, and a lot of bacon fat. A lot of sesame seeds. I like the texture sesame seeds as well. And with the beef patty, with the burgers, we bring in some ground meat from our local butcher. Summit Meats give us a ground meat, comes from Heffley Creek. They have some beautiful beef out there at Heffley Creek. As you can see, I showcase some of them in the front here. It's grilling season. It's barbecue season. So for me,
sure is.
It's about using some of this beef. Not all of them are barbecue material, but I can braise this oxtail and put it with my barbecue, and I think it's really great. So
awesome. Well, we'll let you get started on this.
All right.
Kevin, of course, joining us to talk a little bit about the annual general meeting taking place. How often is it in Kamloops, first of all?
This is the first time we've had it here in probably about 10 years. We rotate around the province to the different regions so that we can make sure that we hit producers in different areas every year, every so often, so that we keep them in loop with what is actually happening and give them better access to us. It's all about that.
And who belongs to the Cattlemen's Association? Obviously, anyone that's doing any sort of ranching with the cattle industry.
Right. It's to do with, most of our membership is the rancher themselves, the primary producers. We do have some of the feedlot owners there. There is a corporate membership as well, but we represent, we have about 1,200 members, and that represents about 80% of the cattle that are produced in the province. And our main purpose and our mandate is to advocate for them so that we can make it easier for them to do their business and go about it so that they're not doing it. We do a lot of lobbying and work with government towards that because in today's age, we're seeing more and more regulation and more restrictions and more things that we have to be up on top of. Animal welfare, animal health, all this stuff comes under our purview to work on.
I'm sure. And so in light of that, what will be some of the hot button topics that you will be discussing at this particular meeting this year?
Well, certainly, the weather this year has been a real factor. We're seeing the flooding and we're seeing a cool, wet spring. That will certainly be there. It's maybe not as part of the actual general discussion, but the boys will be talking about it in the back rooms, that's for sure. There certainly will be a lot about trade, the current situation with what's happening south of the border, renegotiation of NAFTA coming up, but also things like CETA and the European Trade Union and the agreement there. Is there opportunity for further trade negotiations with Asia, China, Japan? Where are the spots? Currently, we export just about half, 47% of what we produce in Canada ends up in another country, and we export. Of that, 90% ends up in the U.S. So it's extremely important that these trade deals, trade negotiations go smoothly and affect us very much.
Right, and the concern over the whole NAFTA deal, of course, could throw a few things into a tailspin, including this industry.
It could also work as our benefit, too. That trade document has been in place for over 20 years. Every now and again, they need to be refreshed. So we'll look at ways that we can benefit from it as well.
Sure. How is the cooking going over here?
It's going great.
It smells good.
Isn't it? When we created this beef, it's I've actually go against what I've actually been trained on. Because when I started making beef burgers, it was all about pure 100% beef, right? Then I go back and say, what's the most enjoyable burger I've ever had? I think it's when I was a kid, when my mom would slop all this ground beef together, put some onions and some spices in there.
Right.
And that kind of reminds me of that. And I said, man, I'm gonna do that again. I know it's against my religion, you know, to go with putting spices and onions. That's what I did though.
Right.
And it came out perfectly.
Delicious.
You guys get to enjoy it today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to let this grill for a few minutes as well. We will take a 2-minute break. We'll be rejoined by both of these gentlemen coming up in 2 minutes' time. Stay with us. Welcome back. The BC Cattlemen's Association holding their annual general meeting taking place in Kamloops at the end of the month. We have Kevin Boone joining us, general manager of the association. Welcome.
Thank you.
And again, welcome back, Romeo. We're making some delicious burgers that are your exact recipe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you give us a little rundown? You did a little bit before, but what goes into the grill?
Again, I wanted to go back and really change up, really in my beliefs of like how to make a burger and then change it up on how I used to enjoy it when I was a kid. So can we put some onions in there, a little bit of dried spices, a little bit of garlic as well. But we didn't put any kind of filling in there. So it's just spices, the beef itself, and some aromatics, if you will.
Okay, delish.
Okay.
So, sorry, go ahead.
So what we did is like I said, we make our own buns. These are bacon brioche buns. We would like to just grill them real quick with a little bit of like not even any butter anymore, because at this point in time there's a lot of butter and it caramelized nicely, as you can see.
Gorgeous.
It's very important. Again, it kind of reminds me because my mom would just drop those buns in there and it kind of burns a little bit.
Yeah.
I enjoy those parts, and hopefully you guys do as well. With this burger, we made some black garlic mayonnaise. So we brought some black garlic. We made our own almost like mayonnaise. You know, a little bit of egg yolk, a little bit of rice wine vinegar.
What makes it dark?
The black garlic itself.
Oh, it's black garlic.
It's been aged almost like, it has that very light, almost like, you'll be able to tell that almost like aged garlic into it. So it's really nice. It's almost like earthy in a way.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that my mom used to do is she would put barbecue sauce on a burger. And I kind of enjoy that. I think that's her way of putting salt, because she never put salt on her burgers.
Sure.
But I like that barbecue feel to it. I didn't make a barbecue sauce, but what I did is I caramelized some onions and I smoked it.
Yum.
And then I made a relish out of it.
It's all about these delicious little toppings, isn't it? Right? They're
and then that's what makes
signature
it.
toppings.
And then what makes it, like, every bite of the burger, and that's very important. I tell my guys at the restaurant that I cover the whole bun. So every bite you can taste this relish itself.
Yeah.
Okay. And we just put some nice lettuce in there. We pickled our own pickles as well. I used a little bit of rice wine vinegar, a little bit of spices, and really just some tomatoes.
Fantastic. So getting back to the reason Kevin's here as well, the meeting that's taking place, of course, at the end of this month, you guys have many topics you'll go over. We thought we'd quickly touch on the fact that with flooding being such a concern right now, Kevin, I know that this is hampering concerns, or it's hampering cattle industry a little bit, but the cool weather is even bigger. And then we fast forward 2 months, and there's not going to be enough water.
Yeah, the one thing about water is we'll either have too much or not enough. It's very hard to get right in there, and so really accentuates to us part of that having to work within the environment and with what we have. And you know, you said it very well. This spring has been extremely cool and damp. That's created a huge issue for our ranchers. Keeping these calves healthy has been a real issue when it's like you or I, when we go out in the rain and the cold, we catch a little damp and get back warm, we'll get a cold. These little calves are getting the same thing. So keeping them alive has been a challenge for our ranchers this year. A lot of water out there, a lot of issues with flooding. But as you said, in 2 months, we get some dry weather. We could see restrictions on rivers like the Coldwater. It's flooding right now, but we may not be able to irrigate out of it. Really accentuates the importance of what we do in our industry in water storage and the dams we create in the reservoirs that are there so that we can manage that. It's not only important to us, it's also important to climate adaptation. You know, I think one of the big things that we're looking for as we adapt to climate change is the water and water use. And the more we can store, the more we can manage, the better we'll be able to adapt to that in the future. So this is key and important to us, and we watch all this water going by right now, and we're
Right.
sitting there, where do we keep it?
Sure.
And,
Do we need more storage areas?
we do.
Yeah,
And you know, it's not just creating new, but it's making sure that the infrastructure that we have in place for these dams is up to date and safe and modernized. And one of the things people don't realize, neither a lot of times, is we, as in the ranching and agriculture industry, often build these dams, but the added benefit to everybody else. I know you've got a fishing segment later on today. Many of the reservoirs we got are stocked with fish, and the recreation value, the camping value, the aesthetics, but just making sure that the towns and cities have enough water. It's also some flood mitigation. If we've got that dam and we've got that storage, and we know a flood is apt to happen with the higher snowpacks, we can let the levels down in the spring so that we can gather some of that and manage it. It's all about management. It's not about being scrounging or being greedy.
Sure.
It's a matter of how do we work within the environment to make the best of it for everybody.
Right. All right. Sounds like you guys are going to be busy at these meetings coming up.
We will be. It's
Yeah.
always good, and you know, we think we know the issues. There's going to be lots around water, animal welfare, animal health. We discuss them all. Our predator issues, all of those things will be there. And there'll be certain to be some surprises that come up that we're not even thinking about.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
it's how do we adapt, and what do we do?
Fantastic. Yeah, Kevin, thank you for that. You've almost finished the burger here. Are you going to plate it, or
Yeah,
is it
that's
going to leave it there?
basically it. Like I said, that we wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to make sure that, you know, I wanted to showcase a burger that not only it's local beef, but it's made almost the whole thing in the house. If I can create my own tomato, I would, but you know, maybe a little impossible. But
It
like I
might
said,
be.
the whole burger
This is
itself.
beef country, and this is a perfect example of
Absolutely.
what we're producing locally.
Barbecue
and it's,
season.
Yeah, lots
Enjoy
of great
it.
stuff.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Romeo, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Kevin, thank you very much for being here as well.
Thank you for having
Yes,
us.
I'm sure the meetings will go very well at the end of the month.
Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome. If you want more information, of course, you can go to romeoskitchen.ca as well. The BC Cattlemen Association website was on the screen. It's BCCAAGM, there we go, .ca. It's up there for a second anyways. We're back after a quick break. Stay with us.